Has anybody here ever heard of Kid Blackie? How about the Manassa Mauler? But that's me. I'm Jack Dempsey. I was a very, very famous boxer. From the very start, I started at a very young age. I left home when I was 16. And I've done it all. I slept on the trains. I slept at mobile camps. I did everything that I could just to make money to survive. The number one best thing that I could do was to fight. I used to go into the bars in Cripple Creek and in Pueblo, and I used to walk into the bars and I would say, I can't sing, I can't dance, but I can lift any SOB in the place. You know, actually I got a lot of responses, but if I would have got a challenger and the best were made, I was happy, because I knew I got to eat for at least another week. You know, back then those fights were tough. They wouldn't stop a fight in a mining town unless you or your opponent could not even move their hands. You know, I started making my way through the legitimate fights to Colorado and Utah. And actually my very first big fight was when I stepped in secretly for my brother. He did not want to take his upcoming fight, so I stepped in for him. You know, when I got there, the fighting promoter was angry, the crowd was upset, because they knew I wasn't my brother. And even my opponent didn't want to fight me, because he says, he's just a skinny little kid, I'll kill him. Well, he did outweigh me by maybe 25, 30 pounds. Well, in the first round, I knocked him down 6 times. In the second round, I knocked him down twice. And you know what? That's just the way it was. I had the ability to knock out larger men. Matter of fact, in 1919, I fought the heavyweight champion of the world. And this was actually for the title. His name was Jesse Rhodes. I was 6'1" at that time. I weighed in at 185. He was 6'6". He weighed in at 245. You know, he was a big man. I knocked him down 7 times in just the first round. His injuries were so great that people was actually wondering how humanly possible could it be for somebody to throw a punch that did that much damage. There's even a rumor floating around that I had loaded gloves. But I guarantee you, that wasn't the case. I just packed a punch not too many men could achieve. Actually, right around basically the same time, they made a new ruling in boxing. That when you knock your opponent down, you go back to the neutral corner to give your opponent time to get up if he was going to get up. And I know they made that ruling because of me, because of my aggressive style. But you know, I couldn't see no reason to stop fighting just because you knock your opponent down. You know, for 7 years, I defended my title. In one of my title defending matches, they lined me up with a French World War I war hero. This fight was deemed as the fight of the century. Actually, it was the first $1 million gate in boxing history. In 1921, over 91,000 people came to this fight in Jersey City. I knocked out George Carpenet in the 4th round. You know, by now, I'll be true with you, I was one of the highest paid athletes around. They even put my picture on the front cover of the Time magazine. In 1926, I fought a gentleman by the name of Jim Tooney. This guy only had 1 loss in his entire career. And that night he fought me, he was considered the underdog. It was a good fight, went the distance, came to the decision, and that night I lost my title. 1 year later, they paid me $1 million for a rematch to fight Jim Tooney. Now you guys, that was in 1927. Can you imagine what it would have been worth today? You know, I wanted to fight this guy bad, because he took away from me what I wanted back, and that was my title. But the fight was a good fight. In the 7th round, boom, I knocked him down. The referee was starting to count him out. The referee stopped the count, looked at me and says, get to your neutral corner, which I forgot to do. By the time I got back to my neutral corner, 5 seconds had elapsed. The referee continued to count. Jim Tooney got up at the count of 9, but actually it was a count of 14. to this day, the people still say if it wasn't for that long count, he would have never got up to end up winning the fight. And actually, guys, that went into boxing history books as the longest count ever. You know, as time went by, I ended up retiring. I filmed in a few movies. I opened up some restaurants. I even had my own casino. World War II comes around. I enlisted in the United States Coast Guard. While I was there, I met this gentleman. Actually, him and I became the very best friends. It was because we had at least one thing in common. We both loved to fight. Well, when the war was over, this gentleman went back into the ring. He became the world welterweight champion of the world in 1946. His name is Marty Servo. And that, guys, is actually my father. Yeah. In 1954, they inducted me into the World Boxing Hall of Fame. May 31st, 1983, I died of congestive heart failure. I was 87 years old. My professional record, I had 75 pro bouts. I won 54, and out of those 54, I had 44 knockouts. That's why they voted me the 7th greatest puncher of all time. You know, all of us people here from Colorado are built tough. But you know what? I was one of the toughest. I am Jack Dempsey, the Manassa Mauler. I gotta tell you guys something real quick before this can go. When they asked me to portray Jack Dempsey tonight, I was shocked because not too many people know. My dad was welterweight champion of the world in 1946. My dad and Jack Dempsey actually met in the Coast Guard and they became real good friends. I've got so many pictures of Jack Dempsey that he sent me, and every year for Christmas before they died, there would be him and his wife with their arms around each other to say season greetings. So when they asked me tonight to portray Jack Dempsey, I said, it's got to be God sent. So I am privileged to do this.
Good job.